My wife came back from a work trip with a bug bite on her neck, which she finally admitted shattered everything. I'm a 27-year-old guy, and right now, I'm in the middle of a really rough argument with my wife, who's 28. We've had our share of fights over the years, but nothing quite like this. It's left me completely unsure of what to do next. Just to give you some background, we've been together since college and married for almost 6 years now. We've got a 4-year-old daughter who means the world to us. Our relationship was never perfect, and we've had our fair share of ups and downs. Cultural differences caused some tension early on, especially with our families, but we worked through it. She's not just my wife, she's my first love and truly my best friend. She works a corporate job, and part of that means attending an annual retreat that usually lasts about a week. This year, it was in Las Vegas. Normally, I try to rearrange my work schedule so I can go with her. We'd turn the trip into a mini getaway, something that helped us reconnect both as a couple and a family. But this year, things didn't go as planned. Our daughter has a really tough time with long-distance travel, major anxiety. We've been working on it, but she just wasn't ready, and honestly, we chose not to push it. So I stayed back to hold things down at home. Missing out on the trip was disappointing, especially because we'd been looking forward to that time together. Her job has been draining lately, and her work-life balance is, well, pretty much non-existent. We did talk about the idea of her skipping the retreat altogether. It's technically optional, but everyone knows it's frowned upon if you don't go. She's been trying to make connections in her field, so she decided to attend. That's when things started to feel off. We have this unspoken agreement: if either of us is away for more than a couple of days, we stay in regular contact. For the first day or so, everything felt normal. She called, texted, checked in. But then she started growing distant. I'd send her messages, even about important stuff, and I'd just be left on read. Later, she'd claim she never saw them. When we did talk, she always seemed like she was in a rush, trying to get off the phone quickly, sometimes cutting the calls short even with our daughter. What bothered me the most was that these weren't times when she was in seminars or official retreat events. She had the time. She just wasn't showing up emotionally. We had planned to celebrate our daughter's birthday on FaceTime while my wife was away. It wasn't the real party, just a mini celebration since her trip overlapped the actual date. Our daughter had been looking forward to it. My wife was the one who promised it to her. But when the time came, my wife canceled. Said she had co-workers in her room after one of the seminars. It felt like she was asking me to excuse her breaking that promise. I told her I wasn't going to do that. I wasn't going to force her to follow through, but I also wasn't going to be the one to tell our daughter that her mom wasn't showing up. She got frustrated, said I was being unfair, that this was a chance to network and that her co-workers wouldn't understand her stepping away for family stuff. I told her it was her choice, but she'd have to be the one to explain it to our daughter. She said she'd make it up to her the next day. But our little girl didn't understand why her mom bailed. She cried. And then my wife ended the call abruptly, leaving me to comfort our daughter alone. That moment really left a bad taste in my mouth. And the promised rain check? Yeah, that never happened either. Meanwhile, I started noticing she was posting a lot on social media about the retreat. One of her co-workers, a 23-year-old guy, kept popping up in every picture and video. He was practically glued to her side. In one photo, he even had his arm around her, way too casually if you ask me. He's new, just started in her department. She was assigned to oversee him, kind of like a mentor. I've never liked the guy. He doesn't seem to understand personal space or professional boundaries. Once, in response to a work-related text, he sent her something like, "You're exactly the kind of woman I need to keep me in check." She just brushed it off and said she felt bad for him because he wasn't fitting in with the team. Apparently, she took him under her wing since it was his first time at one of these retreats. When I'd ask questions about what was going on, she'd always say she was too tired to talk or busy networking. There was always some excuse. But I've seen her at these retreats before, and this just wasn't the same. Something felt different. She felt off. Then, the day before she was supposed to come home, she brought up a bruise on her neck. Over the phone, she mentioned it like it was some bug bite that was really bothering her. I didn't think much of it until she got home and I actually saw it. It didn't look like any bug bite I've ever seen. To me, it looked exactly like a hickey. She'd made a big deal of it earlier, but once I brought it up in person, she kind of shrugged it off. I didn't say anything right away because our daughter was around. But later, when I had the chance to talk to her privately, I pressed her on it. She stuck to her story, said it was a bug bite. When I pushed harder, she got defensive and asked what I was trying to accuse her of. So I told her straight up I thought it looked like a hickey, and I didn't believe she was telling me the truth. That set off a huge fight. She was furious, deeply offended. Cheating is a really sensitive subject for her. There's a history of infidelity in her family, and we've always tried to be extra mindful about honesty and trust because of that. But this wasn't about our daughter's birthday, like she tried to claim. It was about that bruise and everything that led up to it. We didn't resolve anything. We're still at odds. She's sticking to the bug bite story, but I just can't shake the feeling that it's not true. I've never doubted her before, not once. But now? Everything feels different. That bruise doesn't look like a bug bite. It looks exactly like what I fear it is. And when I think about how distant she was in Vegas, how weird her behavior was, it all adds up in the worst possible way. Since she's been back, she started wearing turtlenecks every day, even around the house. Meanwhile, we're stuck in this cycle of arguing, then pretending everything's fine in front of our daughter. She's been oddly affectionate with me and our little girl too. It almost feels performative. Normally, we talk things out. Communication has always been our saving grace. But this time? It feels like we're on a whole different level of conflict. My accusation crossed a line, and now I don't know how to come back from it. I'm honestly lost here. I've never felt so unsure of my next move. That whole birthday situation really stuck with me, and not in a good way. It wasn't just disappointing, it felt like a glimpse into something deeper going wrong. Update 1, February 28, 2025. I'm 27, and I wanted to take a moment to thank everyone who reached out with support and insight. Hearing outside perspectives helped a lot. Things have been a roller coaster, and I've been trying to make sense of everything. It took a while before my wife, she's 28, and I could even have a real conversation about the bruise on her neck. We were stuck in this weird limbo where either we were silently fighting or she was being overly affectionate with me and our daughter, who's 4. I barely saw the mark because she kept herself bundled up in turtlenecks, but I watched it fade over time, from a reddish purple to that yellowish stage bruises get when they heal. We didn't talk about the Vegas retreat anymore. She made it clear she was done with that topic. She said she shouldn't have to defend herself to her own husband. I told her she could make her own choices, but I wasn't going to lie to myself or sleep beside someone I couldn't trust. So I packed up and moved into the guest room. After that, things got eerily quiet. We weren't really talking at all. The silence between us was heavy, you could feel it. Even our daughter noticed. I hate that. I try hard not to involve her in our conflicts. One night, my wife came into the guest room and asked if we could talk. Her face was red, and I could tell she'd been crying. She told me she hated where we were, that it felt like she was losing me no matter what she did. I told her if she wanted any chance of making this right, she needed to be completely honest with me. That's when she broke down and confessed everything. She admitted that she hooked up with that 23-year-old coworker, the same guy from the retreat, on our daughter's birthday. The mark on her neck? It was a hickey, not a bug bite. She said it all happened in the heat of the moment and she hadn't realized how aggressively he'd been kissing her neck. According to her, they made out and did some over-the-clothes stuff. Then, he went down on her. It stopped, she said, when he called her by the nickname I use for her. That's when it hit her what she was doing, and she pulled away, ran to the bathroom, splashed water on her face, and saw the hickey. He tried to make a joke about it being her souvenir. She blew up on him and kicked him out of her suite. She said part of the reason she had been avoiding me since then was because of the guilt. She was tired of hiding and wanted to come clean. I asked her why. Why she did it. What was it about him that made it worth throwing everything away? She said it wasn't about him. She wasn't unhappy in our marriage, and she didn't have a good explanation. She said she feels broken, that the more she looks at herself, the more she sees her father. He was the kind of man who let work consume him, who was distant and cheated on her mom. She said nothing was ever talked about in her house, and when things happened, her mother just swept them under the rug. I told her, plain and simple, her parents didn't make her cheat. She made that decision. She let that guy get close. She crossed the line. At any point, she could have chosen us. She didn't. She agreed. Said she wanted to blame her family history, but in the end, this was her choice. She apologized, said she was sorry for cheating, sorry for letting him get that close, sorry for betraying me. She told me she'd do anything to fix this, go to HR, quit her job, go to therapy, whatever it takes. She just wants to make things right again. But I told her, I don't know if right is even possible anymore. I knew we had problems, sure, but I always thought we could work through anything. I didn't expect this. She kept insisting that we still could, that we didn't have to give up on each other. She got emotional, said she wanted to fight for our marriage, that she still loved me and wanted to keep our family together. But all I could feel was numb. I looked at her and didn't see the woman I knew, not just because of the cheating, but because of how she treated our daughter that week. She felt like a stranger. She said she feels like she's failed, both as a wife and a mom, but that her love for me and our daughter hasn't changed. She begged me not to give up. I told her I didn't have an answer. I didn't know what the future looked like, but I knew we needed space. A separation. She didn't want that. She wanted us to stay under one roof, work through it together. But I said no, either she was moving out, or I was, and I'd be taking our daughter. Eventually, she agreed to leave. Not because she wanted to, but because she didn't want our daughter uprooted more than she already was. She made one request, not to be cut off from our little girl. She's staying with her parents now, which I know isn't easy for her, they don't have the best relationship. The hardest part has been the shift for our daughter. Right now, she just thinks her mom is busy with work again. She hasn't asked too many questions yet. My mother-in-law called the other day. She didn't try to excuse anything, but she did try to advocate for us. She told me how my wife always talked about me as her anchor, the one steady, good thing in her life. She thinks there's still something worth fighting for, if I'm willing. Despite the rough start we had with her family, my MALs always supported our relationship. That meant something. But I'm more lost than ever. I never expected this kind of betrayal, not from my wife. She was my home, my safe place. I still love her. That part hasn't changed. But now, I don't know how I feel about us. Everything looks different, feels different. Right now, I think the separation is the right call. I'm not ready to talk about divorce yet, I haven't even let myself fully go there. But I'm also not sure we'll recover from this. For now, I'm just focusing on our daughter and getting through each day, one at a time. Thanks again to everyone who reached out. Your words and support mean more than I can say. Update 2, March 14, 2025. Thanks again for all the messages. I'm sorry I couldn't respond to everyone directly, but please know I read them and appreciated every single one. Things have been pretty chaotic adjusting to our new normal since my wife's affair came to light. But I'm trying to take it day by day. My wife and I sat down and explained the separation to our daughter in simple, concrete terms. We didn't go into details, of course, just reassured her that we both love her and that we're still a family, even if things look a little different right now. Our daughter is incredibly observant, she always has been. But I don't think it's really hit her yet. To her, this just feels like another stretch where mommy's working a lot and away from home. That's how it's always been, so she hasn't questioned it much. Still, I can see the difference in how she reacts to us. When my wife visits, she's distant, clings to me more. During one visit, my wife tried to sit and play with her using this little toy set, and our daughter just snapped. Told her she didn't want to play with her. That moment, it hit me hard. That disconnect between them, it's something I'm still trying to wrap my head around. I always knew my wife's work-life balance had been a mess. Even before the Vegas retreat, we'd been trying to use that time away to reconnect. But now, looking back, it's painfully clear how broken things really were between us. Our daughter barely interacts with her mom anymore. When they're in the same room, she shrinks down, goes quiet like she does around strangers. And at her age, that kind of distance from a parent isn't normal. It's been weighing heavy on me, just how off their dynamic is. I've spent a lot of time reflecting on it, and right now, my number one priority is making sure my daughter comes out of this okay. As for me and my wife, she's been pushing hard for reconciliation. She says it's not just for our daughter, she says she still loves me and wants to rebuild what we had. But all her efforts to rally us back together just fall flat for me. I can't give her the reassurance she's looking for. I told her, flat out, I wish she'd had this energy before she cheated. She's still sticking to her version of how things unfolded with that 23-year-old co-worker. She claims they connected because she felt sorry for him, he was struggling to fit in, and she took him under her wing. He flirted, complimented her, treated her like royalty. On her worst days at work, all that attention started to feel good. And even though she didn't label it that way at the time, what they had turned into an emotional affair. That emotional connection crossed the line during the Vegas retreat. She said she felt like she'd detached from her life at home, like she wasn't thinking about me or our daughter. She still swears they only had sex once. According to her, the hickey happened during foreplay, when he was going down on her. She says he called her by the nickname I use for her, and that's what snapped her back to reality. She said she blew up on him after that, accused him of acting immature about the hickey, and then kicked him out of her suite. She tried to tell herself she could just end it there and salvage our marriage like nothing happened. At one point, I asked her a question I didn't really want the answer to, but I needed to know. I asked if she was still wearing her wedding ring when she slept with him. She was. And hearing that crushed me. Our rings weren't just jewelry. They were symbols of everything we built, our vows, our love, our partnership. She tainted that. I haven't been able to put mine back on since. The pain doesn't lessen, it just keeps finding new ways to cut deeper. She's admitted she allowed the lines to blur long before the physical betrayal. Since then, she's changed her number and told me she's cut off all contact with him. She also reported the affair to HR at work. The company put both of them on suspension while they investigate, since workplace relationships, especially with a power imbalance, violate policy. Because she was his mentor, they're looking into whether she gave him special treatment or showed favoritism. Some people have told me I should reach out to the guy myself. I've thought about it, but I'm just not there. I'm too angry. He knew what he was doing, flirting with her, giving her a hickey, calling her by my nickname. I wouldn't get anything useful out of confronting him, just more pain and drama. He's not worth it. My focus is staying on my daughter. I've started attending marriage counseling not as some promise to reconcile, but as a way to work through the separation in the healthiest way possible, especially for our daughter's sake. I'm still so emotionally numb. This wasn't the future I imagined for us, not even close. I've seen other people go through this kind of betrayal. I've heard the stories. I always thought I understood, but living it firsthand? It's so much worse. I don't even feel like myself anymore. I don't know where this all ends up, but I'm trying to show up every day, to face the hard parts. That's the best I've got right now. And I really appreciate all the people who've offered their support, it means more than I can put into words. Update 3. Thank you again to everyone who's been following this and offering encouragement. I'm 27, and I just wanted to share another update. None of this is easy, and honestly, I never expected it to be. But I don't regret the decision to separate. It was something I had to do. Her betrayal and the non-stop lying left me no choice. I'm still trying to find solid ground, to regain some sense of normal. I never put people on pedestals, not even my wife, and I never thought our relationship was perfect. But I did believe we'd make it. I didn't think we'd fall apart like this. While HR was still conducting their investigation into her and the coworker, my wife decided to resign. Apparently, some of the higher-ups were actually fighting for her to stay, which didn't surprise me much. She's always been the type to say yes, to go the extra mile, to make herself indispensable. She'd been with the company since her college internship. She said leaving was her way of showing she's serious about cutting all ties with the guy and taking accountability. As for him, I have no idea what the investigation concluded or what happened to him, and to be honest, I really don't care. We've officially started marriage counseling. It's been strange, unfamiliar territory for both of us. Most of our sessions so far have been about tracing the path our relationship took to get to this point, the history, the affair, and what we hope to gain from counseling. Her story hasn't changed. She still says she wasn't unhappy in our marriage. But somewhere along the line, she started to feel broken. That special attention from the other guy became addictive, it made her feel seen, and she kept going back to it like a fix. The conversation eventually turned to her family. Her dad had also cheated. She sees a lot of him in herself, distant, emotionally unavailable, hiding behind work. As a mom, she told herself she was better than him because she gave our daughter expensive gifts to make up for being absent. And as a wife, she convinced herself she was better because, until Vegas, her affair hadn't gone physical. She even told the guy that as long as things stayed platonic, it was okay to hang out. That was her boundary until she crossed it. Hearing all that just reinforced how many chances she had to make a different choice. She could have chosen me. She could have chosen our daughter. She could have chosen us. But instead, she kept choosing herself. Our vows weren't enough to stop her. Our wedding rings didn't mean enough. Not even our daughter, crying on her birthday, was enough to pull her back. She keeps bringing up that moment when the guy called her by my nickname for her, as if that's supposed to comfort me. Like that's what snapped her back to reality. But it doesn't help. If anything, it makes it worse. I honestly believe she only stopped because she got what she wanted, because she was satisfied. I don't think I ever crossed her mind in that moment. Telling me about that snapback feels like trying to patch a bullet wound with a bandage. During our counseling session, when it was my turn to speak, I didn't plan to say half of what I said. But once I opened that door, everything just poured out. There was no going back. She sat there, listened, and admitted she had no excuse for what she did. It's not about her parents. That's something I've come to realize. All the choices, all the damage, it's on her. She swore up and down that she still loves me and our daughter, that she wants to fight for our family. But I told her straight, the I love yous don't land the same anymore. They feel hollow now. How could they not? She shut us out, me and our daughter, to give the most intimate part of herself to someone else. A co-worker. She admitted that our issues go way deeper than the affair itself. She said she's always struggled to truly connect with our daughter, and that fear of messing things up made her pull away. So she left most of the caretaking to me. Said she thinks I'm better at it. She told me she knows words won't fix this. That there's nothing she can say to erase what's been done. But she wants to show change, not through promises, but through consistent actions now. That's one of the things we've been unpacking in counseling. We're still early in the process, but I do think it's helping us communicate more clearly, even while we stay separated. It's definitely healthier for our daughter than the silence or tension we had before. Our therapist recommended individual counseling for each of us, in addition to the couples sessions. That's something I've started seriously looking into for myself. I know I need it. As for our daughter, there hasn't been much of a shift since my last update. She still doesn't seem to register a real difference between her mom being physically gone or just working late. When her mom does come by, it's like a switch flips. One moment she's chatty and full of energy, and the next, she goes completely quiet. Withdraws. That reaction breaks my heart. So I've scheduled her for play therapy. I don't really know what to expect from that, but I'm hopeful. I just want her to have a safe space to work through whatever she's feeling. She deserves that. My focus, above everything, is to be present for her. She's the one thing I refuse to fail at. And I know I need to figure out how to trust again. Not just my wife, but people in general. That's been wrecked. Before Vegas, I didn't have a single reason to doubt her. My trust was whole, automatic. She had it because she was my person, my irreplaceable partner. I've been betrayed before. But this? This cut deeper than anything I've ever felt. It did damage the others never did. Now, I'm just doing what I can to stay afloat. I'm trying hard to keep my eyes on what I still have, instead of drowning in what I lost. I can't afford to fall apart. Not for her. Not even for me. For my daughter. To everyone who's offered support or shared your own experiences, thank you. Truly. Talking about this hasn't been easy, but your kindness, honesty, and encouragement have made a real difference. I appreciate all of it more than I can say.